Edius is famous for its format support, and with the 6.5 release, there are a number of really notable additions to the list of items you can import and play back natively. If I just bring up here the page on the reference manual, you can see what I mean. This is the Edius user guide, the reference manual for 6.5, and this is the list of registerable file formats, the items that you can import, and they'll just play natively. This list just goes on and on and on, and there are some very interesting, notable additions for this release. In particular, notice that we now have RED file support, so you can take R3D files up to 4K resolution and play them natively inside of Edius. Now, you won't get access to the full source settings control panel where you can change things like the debayering settings and the interpretation of color, but if I just jump into the Edius interface here and go to System Settings and look under Importer Exporter, you'll see that we now have a RED entry here, and in this panel we can specify the preview quality. RED camera R3D files are a kind of camera raw format. Well, they'll just hammer your hard drives. They're really high data rate and they're pretty difficult for your machine to play back. So particularly if you're working on a laptop, you're likely to want to drop this preview quality. Now, the playback engine in Edius is fantastic, and it's going to give as good, if not better, as any other nonlinear editing system available for playback performance. But even on a reasonably spec'd out machine, I'd probably be thinking I'm in a good position if I can get 1:4 preview resolution here. More than that, and you're really talking about a very, very large amount of data to play back, and the real-time performance isn't going to be fantastic. Still, it's great that we can play back RED Media Native now in Edius 6.5. While I'm in the system settings here, notice that under the source browser, we have a new option to define the transfer folder. That is the folder into which media files will be placed if you choose the option when importing using the source browser to transfer the files as well as importing them into your project. So whereas before they would just always end up going into the project folder, and that could be kind of difficult to organize, now you can specify a custom folder, browse wherever you want on your machine, and that's where the files will go. You get the path described down here. This relatively small change, I think, is just huge in terms of workflow when working with file-based media and Edius 6.5. Going back to our list of formats, you'll notice as well we now have support for F4V files, flash video files that use the H.264 codec. In fact, you can both import and export these formats if you want to. We've also got support further down here. Of course, we have XF file format support. So if you're working with Canon XF media, you're covered as well. Moving up the list a little bit, you can see that we have AVCHD2 support. And another interesting option is we have QuickTime Movie support. That's fine. And of course, that means any codec supported by the QuickTime engine will work. But now that Grass Valley have released the Canopus codec as a free installer for both Mac and PC, that means you can use that codec inside a QuickTime wrapper. This makes the Canopus HQ and even the Canopus HQ-X codec a fantastic option for transferring media between Mac and PC editing systems. So you really can use it as an intermediate. Of course, you need to install the codec before you can play it back, but it's available for free and anyone can get it. The Canopus HQ codec also supports alpha. So again, it's an excellent alternative to things like using an animation codec within QuickTime to make sure that you get that alpha, or even, I suppose, PNG. Of course, the wonderful thing about working with all of these different types of file in Edius is you can just import them and play them natively, and you don't have to go through any kind of transcoding process. All of these file types are just going to open up. You can press play, mix and match them as much as you like on the timeline, and whatever your project settings are, that's what you're going to get. That's what the media is going to conform to. So that's new format support in Edius 6.5.